All right, so this is a CFMOTO Uforce 800 that I picked up. It's a 2023. Just kind of want to give quick initial thoughts and impressions. It's got 3 kilometers on it. I thought maybe I should get some footage of it while it's like perfectly clean too, because it will never be this clean again. I had a Razor Trail previously, and it was a good machine, but it was didn't really have a bed in the back, not the best for utility, and at the same time, it wasn't the best for anything sport. So if I'm gonna have to compromise utility, I want it to be a performance machine, which it really wasn't. But it was a good first side by side. So this thing I picked up, they had a huge sale on them. I will confess I would have never ever even looked at this otherwise. But kind of having owned it and just looked at it, it all seems like pretty good value. We'll see how it goes as I continue to use it, and we'll see how the warranty is. But a lot of features come with this thing that a lot of the other manufacturers, like Polaris specifically, has as add-ons. Because I know with my Razor, everything was an add-on, and even my Polaris snowmobile, everything's an add-on and an expensive one at that. So this machine, it's got a dumping bed. I did add some stuff, and I'll kind of talk about that because that didn't come with it. But it's got a dumping bed. It's actually got turn signals, an e-brake, which is pretty cool. I know the park pin in these things is pretty weak, so apparently you should, if you're on any kind of slope, leave it in neutral and put on the parking brake. Factory roof mirrors. It's got trailer hitch wiring, which is pretty cool. I've actually, so this machine's going to be pure utility for me, and I do have a grader that I'm going to use on the back of this, and I've actually wired it up, which I'll kind of show some action of that. But I did have to modify the hitch because the hitch is very recessed. So I've got a hitch receiver extension on there, but there's a support bracket. So yeah, factory winch, which is pretty cool. Locking front differential. Um, all in all, decent machine. We'll see how it lasts. For the money though, with that sale, you can't go wrong. Like I could own this and buy a sport machine and have 2 machines for 2 different reasons, kind of for the price of like one. So not not bad value for sure. I put a rumble seat in the back here, um, which folds up out of the way. Just some stuff for carrying saws and whatever on cutting trails. But yeah, I'll get it dirty and get some footage of it grading because I'm gonna do some grading on the trails and stuff at some point today.
So I'm just going to comment over a little bit of a ride along on the machine. I took it probably for about an 8 or 9 kilometer ride just on the trails on the property. And I think it's going to be a great utility machine. There are some flaws that I've discovered. Right here, you can see one, which is probably the main one, in the lack of turning radius. I can't believe how much wheel input you need to put into this thing, and how little the machine actually responds. So I've got some tighter trails in the woods, so it is a bit of not a problem because it is not a sport machine, but certainly do have to plot your lines out pretty far in advance, in my opinion, because if you're approaching a corner that may be tight in a less than optimal fashion, you're probably going to wind up doing an Austin Powers 14-point turn to get situated right. In terms of like, this climb here, 4x4, like not a problem at all. It kind of, does everything it needs to do. The suspension, didn't really have high expectations for it whatsoever. My last machine was a Razor Trail, which, not a utility machine, not really a sport machine either, just kind of like an entry level machine. And what I would say is, they felt very, very similar, which is, something that's not necessarily good for the Razor, but when you're talking about this machine that's less than half the price, I'm okay with that, right? So it's to be expected, and I think the CF gets a pass there. The park pin situation is one that I'm just going to kind of be aware of. I found that I was better putting the machine in neutral and using the e-brake, and I had read that the park pin was pretty weak on it. But it is a little notchy shifting between any gears, and you can tell when you're on a slope that it's like you're almost fighting gravity against the pin. So that probably could be adjusted out, I'm thinking. And maybe when I bring it in for its first service, that's something that can be looked at. But just something I noticed, and yeah, I really wouldn't ever. I mean, you're never supposed to winch anything in park, but I don't think I would use this machine to try and pull something. I'd rather just use it put it in neutral to pull the machine out of something. Yeah, so the power seems, I mean, pretty good. Once again, it actually feels pretty similar to my Razor Trail 900. The trails that we're riding on are pretty tight, so I mean, it's not some wide open space. I did take it on the road and got it up to speed. It feels top heavy. It feels very wallowy in the corners, but once again, not really made for anything but lugging some stuff around. And if I'm carrying around firewood and loads of dirt, whatever, I really don't care what the stability is like. I'm not going to be going fast anyways. So yeah, I tried a black bore implement on the back of this, and that's why this trail's all ripped up, because I was doing some grading and just experimenting with what works well. This overgrows pretty quick, and so I had actually, have a blade and 6 teeth essentially that go in front of it, kind of like a box blade. It worked okay. This is a wet area with lots of grass, so I didn't expect it to work miracles over here. But on the sandier part of the trail up top, it worked really well. The problem is I broke all 6 of those teeth off. The bolts snapped and bent every single tooth. So black bore, I don't know. It was a great theory. I was hoping to avoid having to get a tractor, or hoping to avoid using a mini excavator, which would take forever to grade this much space. But I think if those teeth didn't break off, it would have kind of done what I wanted it to do. And here you could see there's only like 2 lines left, because that's at this point all the teeth that I had left. So yeah, I picked up the speed a bit here. I'm in high gear, I think. Well, maybe. Seems decent. So much wheel input required though. It's like driving a school bus, not because it's long, because you have to turn the wheel. Feels like 10 times to get it to turn. But I think, all in all, decent machine. I've got the rumble seat in the back, put around the kids, just that kind of stuff. I think that it'll be nice to be able to carry chainsaws easier and different tools and stuff like that. It'll be really helpful when I'm cutting trails, right? So is it going to be setting records around here? No. Do I want it to? No. But for the price, I could literally buy a sport side-by-side that has no utility and not really worry too much, because, as long as I don't buy anything too crazy, I could probably wind up getting 2 machines for the price of 1 machine. And I can have 2 machines that do their own respective things very, very well, instead of 1 machine that's kind of bad at both utility and sport, which is what I wanted to avoid. So that's that, just bringing it back here. And I think, the machine's good. No regrets. Maybe I'll do an update after I have it for a while and see if there's any serious issues with reliability. But I think it's going to be a good purchase.